names if you don't start talking. You know this.
Can I talk?
Go ahead.
Well, I think that it's true because for lower class, crime is maybe something. It's like a high cost to pay because they don't have enough money to live in a comfortable way. And for the high class, a fine is like nothing. They could pay it and continue breaking rules without worrying.
Okay. Anybody else? What do you think of what it says? If the, okay, I forgot it. It says, if the penalty for a crime is a fine, then that law only exists for the lower class. If the penalty of a crime is a fine, then that law only exists for the lower class. What's your opinion about that? Do you think it's true?
I mean, the punishment of a crime should be like the punishment of a crime. It should not be like higher for someone's or lower for someone's. And I think that if they put it like that, like a single fine, I think it's not right for lower economic status people, because it is not in the same level, and it should be like the same punishment for everyone to commit that crime. It is not the same for high class, and if we compare it to lower class. So I'm in agreement with that.
Okay, this is not talking about giving different types of punishment to different society levels. It's talking about when you have a punishment that is only a fine. For instance, during the time of the total lockdown, the quarantine, if you were caught on the street without the famous permission or on a day or an hour that wasn't yours, you would be taken to prison and you had to pay $100. Okay, that was the fine. Everybody who was caught had to pay $100. But what the meme is saying is that it's easier for some people to pay $100 than for others, which is also what Aranza said. So the punishment or the penalty for that crime would only affect the people who are poor, who are going to have difficulties paying that $100. Okay, everybody gets the same punishment, but it's going to be harder for some people than for others. So that's the focus. So the rest of you, state your opinion. What do you think about that meme? Is it true?
So I know the origin of that picture, and it's like from 1997. So it's still true, which is really sad to know that that type of mentality or that type of social construct still exists towards this day, that the upperclassmen just can do whatever they want and nobody can stop them.
Okay, so who benefits? Let's go back to our recent reality. When people were getting put in prison for not being in quarantine, and they had to pay this $100 fine, particularly here in Panama, who benefits? Hello? Who gets that $100? Let's say
the government.
Okay, so let's say one night the police went out and nationwide they caught 100 persons and put all of them in prison, and all of them had to pay a fine of $100. Somebody gave the answer a few minutes ago. Isabella, was that you?
Yes, the government.
Mm-hmm. So then that's $1,000 the government got that day. I want you to think deeper. The first thing that comes up in your mind, people are getting fined for being on the street during quarantine. Is this really solving the problem? No, because people were still going out on the street. So who benefits? The government. What does this mean? Interpret that. Go deeper. Does the government want money? No, the government doesn't want money. No. People, are you listening? Are you hearing me? Am I on mute? Does the government need?
Yes, teacher. The government used this excuse to take advantage of people that need to be in the street and need to get out to find the ¿cómo es el pan de cada día?
Seriously, Mary. El pan de cada día. You don't know how to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Okay.
work.
So think deeper. Is there some kind of benefit for somebody by giving people fines for being on the street during quarantine? What would have happened to the famous, we always hear this in the news, las arcas. What would have happened to the arcas if nobody, during the 6-7 months that were locked down, if nobody had ever broken the law? What would have happened to las arcas? You know what the arcas are, right? No? Oh, God. Money. The money of the government. What would have happened if nobody had ever broken the quarantine during these 6-7 months that were total lockdown? What would have happened? And if they were arresting approximately 100 persons per day, I said 100 times 100 was 1,000. What's wrong with me? Anyway, if they were arresting approximately 100 persons per day, and each person was fined $100 per day for 7 months, talk to me. What connection goes on in your head? None? No connection? Nothing? Oh my goodness, I feel like I'm talking to myself, like the crazy lady looking in the mirror and talking to herself. People, make the connection. What's the connection? Is arresting people and fining them, is it a business?
It is
Maybe okay.
I was gonna say that they made $7,000 in that 7 months if 100% just broke the law.
No, not one, because imagine 100 persons paying $100 per day.
That made $7,000.
100 times 100 is what?
10K, and then times 7 months is 7K or something around. No, that's on 7 days. Wait, my bad.
Okay, right. So, is arresting people and giving them a fine, is it a business?
Yes.
So, is it, does the government make any money if everybody in a country behaves and keeps all the laws? Except, for, apart from taxes, that's a whole different story. Let's not talk about taxes.
No.
So approximately how much money would they not have made if nobody had ever broken the quarantine during these 7 months? How much money would they not have made? People calculate. Adrian just said it, by the way. How much money would the government have not received if around 100 people a day were not paying $100 to get out of prison because they broke the quarantine?
Around 200K, I think. I'm not sure.
Is that a lot of money or a little bit of money?
Can I
For
say
some people, it's a lot. For some, it's not.
Go ahead, Adrian.
I'm
so
sorry.
I run the calculator again, and they made $2 million on 2 months. Yeah, on 2 months, $2 million.
So basically, we can say that crime is a business. And that somehow, and this sounds really crazy, but somehow governments really need people to break the law because it brings money. The crimes that are fined, it brings money into the system. Do you understand what I'm saying? No? Do you want me to repeat the whole thing? I can repeat the whole thing. Did you get this? Okay, so let's go a step further. Not every crime is only paid with a fine, multa, okay? Not every crime. For example, traffic violations, you pay a fine, and minor violations, you pay a fine. Good. Let's move on to something else then. What is the purpose of prison?
Tortura. I don't know how to say it in Spanish, in English.
Torture.
Torture.
Torture. Okay, so Rebecca says that the purpose of prison is torture. What do the rest of you say?
I think it's for keeping away the bad people from the good people,
Okay, yeah.
like the criminals, the killers, and that stuff.
Keeping them away from mixing with the good people. What else? What else is the purpose of prison? Those of you who are just staring at me, or at your TV or your phone or something. What's the purpose of prison?
A punishment to make the people like reflect.
Oh.
About,
That's a good one. That's a good one, Mary. I like that. Does that really happen in prison?
no.
Do you sit down and say, "Ooh, I'm never going to do this again"? Do you know that 90% of prisoners come out on the street and commit another crime and end up in prison again? Not because the experience was so wonderful. It's because prison doesn't work. All the things that you mentioned, that prison is supposed to keep the bad guys away from the good guys, does that really happen? But it's right?
If there was a better justice system, that would be the purpose.
There will never be.
Okay, good. So what should prison really do for the criminal? What do you think should happen in prison so that 90% of the criminals do not become repeat offenders, meaning that they do the same thing or worse again and end up in prison again? What should prison do for these people?
I think you remember, teacher, when we were in my grandma's house and we were watching something about people that were in jail, and you know, church people were thinking that making people in jail read the Bible will help them to become a better person. And I was like, in those days, I was like, oh yeah, it's a good idea. But now I'm like, okay, not every person will be interested in reading a Bible every single day. And, you know, I was like, well, they can teach them, I don't know, talk to them, but no, people, outside people and people in jail think that it's the same as torture. It doesn't matter what people try to, you know, to solve in there. People will think that everything that you know, policeman or outside people will try to come to solve in jail will be a torture for the prisoner. Not a good idea. And in that TV show, I think they were acting because it was so fake. Every single prisoner from Yale was reading a Bible. And they were like, yeah, the Bible changed my life. And it started changing the way I was thinking back then. And it inspired me. God gave me everything. You know, it's good to give people hope. But the matter thing here is that we need to change that people. Not inspire them, change them. Not give them hope, well, a little bit, but about changing them, you know, that they decide that they want to change themselves. Not giving hope because like, oh, I will go out of jail. No, they have to think, oh, I will try to change myself, not go out of jail and become a better person. No, just change yourself and you will be able to be fine.
Okay, that's an interesting perspective. What should prison do for you? So Mandisa says no Bibles. What do the rest of you say? What should prison do for you? Not for you, for the criminal. What should prison do for the criminal?
Maybe do the same thing that they did in Canada and Denmark, where they just like give you therapy and back massages, and you just become a better person because you're like, damn, they care about me. Maybe I shouldn't do this again because I will make them sad. So that's like the mentality that they have there.
Sometimes I think that the prison works only for good people, and because it's easier, it's a greater punishment for good people to go there, knowing that they are in prison, like people that is not committing those things, and they are like, how do you say that? Innocent. They are innocent, and they go there, and maybe those things are like a bigger punishment from other people's, but for other people, prison is not a punishment.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that, Mary Foster. So what is the punishment? The amount of time that they give them in prison or the treatment that they get in prison? Which one is the punishment, or is it a combination of the two? And if so, is that fair? Go, talk to me. I repeat, because some of you looking at me like I'm speaking German. People.
The treatment.
The treatment is the punishment. I'm asking, which is the punishment?
Yes.
Amount of time that they're given, 5, 10 years, life, whatever. In Panama, we don't have life, I don't think, or death sentences. We could talk about that. Anyway, is the amount of time the punishment, or is the treatment that they get in prison, or is it a combination of the two? And if it's a combination of the two, is that fair?
I think it's both. Because, if you treat bad a person during 6 years, how they will feel.
So you think that both things are the punishment? Okay.
But teacher, I think in almost all jails, they don't treat the
Prisoner.
the prisoner bad. The prisoners treat the other prisoners bad. That's the punishment, and that's the treatment. Okay, and I was like, okay, they can torture them, but in the end, the police will not do anything but insult the prisoners to feel, bad or angry, or, want them to fight so they can have an excuse and use their weapons. But in the end, the treatment here is that prisoners punch each other, not police.
So based on that, what you're saying and what Rebecca and somebody else said, I forgot, sorry. Based on that, are you telling me then that when they give the person the sentence, they say, okay, you're gonna be sentenced to 5 years in prison where we're gonna treat you like garbage and you're gonna get beat up. That's your punishment. Or should they just say you're gonna be sentenced to 5 years in prison? Or should they just say, forget the 5 years, we're gonna treat you like garbage for a long time and everybody's gonna beat you up? Don't you think that if both things were the punishment, they should legally have to tell the person?
Yes, because in every court video that I saw, they were talking like they would not do anything to them and they will just stay in jail and do exactly anything. And people around him or she will not do anything to she or him. And they don't clarify that they will get beat up by other person. And, that's why so many people are like, oh my God, jail is nothing. And then when they get there, they get beat up and, have a lot of problems. And, some people get worse. I'm talking about mental health, and it's unfair, because the court person is not telling you that you deserve those things and treatment that you will get in prison.
So let's talk about deserving then. Aranza, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to say that sometimes that tough treating that they give to the
Prisoners.
is because it's necessary, because prisoners sometimes are like maleducados.
Okay. Uneducated.
Yes, and policemen need to treat them like in a tough way in order for them to follow the rules that they gave them.
Okay. So let's go with that, and then we're gonna go back to what Mandisa said. Aranza, you're in school and you have a teacher who's standing screaming at you and insulting you all day. Does that inspire you to be obedient? Who gets inspired by that? So yes, I understand your point. The police or the guards or whomever have to be tough with them. But it's one thing to be tough and a completely different thing to insult somebody. It's like two different things. Because I can tell you, be quiet right now. Or I can tell you, stupid kids, I'm tired of it. Really two different things. Okay? So which of the two treatments is really going to elicit obedience? Not the one where you're being insulted. But I do see your point, Aranza. They do need to be tough. But there's a very fine line between being tough and simply insulting. Okay, so let's get back to this question about the treatment inside the prison. Do you think that if they treated the people in the prison nicely, they would be inspired to change themselves? As Adrian mentioned, some countries in which they give them therapy and massages. Do you think those prisoners continue to want to be criminals? Or do you think they would go back to prison because they liked it so much? What do you think would happen if the treatment were different?
That's depending the person or the prisoner if they want to change. Because if they don't want to change and they want to commit all the crimes that they commit when they were outside, they would continue to commit these crimes.
Mm-hmm. But what would inspire them? What would be more inspirational for them to change? Because of course you can't force anybody to change, but you can inspire people to change. What's going to inspire them?
Teacher, I think it will be a difficult job to inspire prisoners because there are a lot of personality and not the treatment that they want all prisoners to have. We work on all the people. So it's going to be a hard work.
Yeah, I'm not saying let's go and change it. That's not what I'm saying. I don't plan to be in prison anytime soon. So that's not I just want you to think. Okay, so my next question to you is this. When a person gets put in prison, and I think I asked you this at the beginning, and a person gets like 5 years in prison, are the people on the outside really safe because that person is in prison? I mean, like, did the threat just disappear? Like, nobody is ever gonna put a gun in your face ever again because that guy is in prison. Does it really change?
No.
No.
Currently, our penal system is like a circus. Everyone does what they want. If the criminal is in jail, they have like friends. They have also a cell phone, I think, and they can go and say that kill someone and blah blah blah. And you are like, oh, I'm fine. 3 more days you are killed.
Then what would be a better solution? They gotta be punished. I understand that because of what they did. But what would be a better solution? What would actually work?
Change people that are outside prison, because those people that were or are in jail were not in jail forever and did not, were born in jail. They were from the outside. So if we try to change people that are not in jail, I think it will have a good impact of not having a lot of people in jail.
Okay, so when a person ends up in prison, should they be mistreated? Is it fair for you to treat them like animals just because they, like for instance, let's say somebody kills somebody okay, and they got 10 years in prison. Should be more, but this is just hypothetical. They kill somebody, this person got 10 years in prison. Is it fair for this person to be treated like an animal because they killed somebody?
No, we should feel.
Come on, people. Some of you are just staring at something like this blankly or like this. Like, come on, talk to me. You know, you are going to be the adults in a few years, right? And you're going to be the ones like making these decisions. You realize that, right? Some of y'all are going to be lawyers and judges and stuff. So you need to be thinking about this.
Pity is like, the word pity is like.
Lástima. Pity is lástima.
We should feel that for them because.
Work. I mean, I feel sorry for you. How does that work? Like, oh, you killed my neighbor. I feel sorry for you. How does that work?
Not to treat them in a verbal.
But you see, we're missing this one thing. And I asked you a few moments ago, what should prison do for the prisoner? Just, you know, treat them like garbage for 10 years and then spit them back out into society. How does that work? How does it solve anything? So there's
I think
yes, go ahead.
I think that the reason of the criminals to steal money is like they don't have work because they don't have like the diploma or something. So I think that the better thing that you can do in 10 years is study, like the prison could like bring you some classes about anything you want. So when you go out, you can have like these options to have work. So because if you go out of the prison like without nothing, you will do the same you do to go to the prison. So it's like a constant circle, and you will never go out of this.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, so that's a good point. Prison should teach them some type of career or something. What else? What else should prison do for these people? Beat them up for 10 years and spit them back out into society doesn't work, and that's what has been happening. What should prison provide for people so that when they get out, they're not the same criminal or even worse? Some people go in and come out even double more criminal than they were before. What should prison do for people? Go, tell me. Let's say you haven't opened your mouth. Open your mouths. Isabel, are you still there? Because I don't know what I'm looking at. It's like oh yeah, that's you. Why are you in the darkness, child?
Yeah, my room is dark.
I noticed.
I like that one. I like the way.
Adrian are competing for the darkest room. Tell me, what should prison do for the criminal people? What should prison do for the criminal?
I think that instead of treating them bad, they should like provide them psychological help to like encontrar el punto.
Find what? El punto. What punto?
Como el núcleo, pues.
Oh, find the source.
Where everything started, or like why you did this, why you did it. I don't know if I am explaining myself, so
yes.
They can like.
I understand
change.
what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, so that's another suggestion. One suggestion was to teach them something so they get a degree and don't have to go stealing. Although I don't agree that the people who steal are people who don't have jobs. There's a lot of people who have jobs who steal. But yeah, that's a good suggestion. And this suggestion is to get them some type of therapy. What else? One more thing. What should prison do for the prisoners?
There is always like complaints about that there is not a plan for people who go out for prison to have a job, because there is always like that stays in your your record, and when you go out and you find a job, there's always like, oh my God, this man was in prison. Like it damaged your other things you did. So I think they should develop like a plan for people who go out of prison for they to have like better chances.
Yeah, that's a great idea, because if I had a company and somebody who came looking for a job and I noticed that this person was in prison, I don't think so. I'm a bad person. I would not hire them because of what I know that happens inside prison. Now, if the prison was a different place where they were receiving help, where they were receiving studies, where they were being, really not treated like animals, maybe I would hire them. But knowing what goes on in our prisons, I can't hire you. I'm sorry. I cannot hire you. Okay? Because there's no proof that this person is going to actually behave better. Now, a few months ago, I was contacted by a young girl, just out of prison. And when she left prison, one of the things they told her was, go find a psychologist, you need help. Okay? And she actually did that. And we've been working and she's doing really well. But working with me isn't free. It's not free. I don't care who you are. It's not free. I'm going to charge you because it's taking up a lot of my time and my mental health and my wonderfulness. So it's not going to be free. So that's an option, but you just left prison. You don't have a job. Telling the person, go find psychological help is wonderful, but who's going to pay for it? That's a problem. Yes, they could go to the Centro de Salud or wherever else and find a psychologist. They can. But still, where's the bus fare? I mean, how am I going to get there? Who's going to be in charge? That's a huge problem. Okay, what about this plan? When the menores infractores, the little kids that are under 18, do stuff, what about putting the parents in prison instead of the kids? What do you think of that? Like your kid just went into a store with a gun and stole, and your kid is 16. We don't want to put the 16-year-old in prison because we're going to put the parents in prison. What do you think?
A good idea.
Why is it a good idea?
Ask her.
It has its bad and its good, sides, but it will be a good idea. But will government have to solve the problem that what to do with the kids? So,
what would happen to parents? What would happen to parents if they knew that they were going to get thrown in prison if their kids misbehave? What would happen to parents?
Oh my God.
How would parents change?
They wouldn't want to be parents.
Well, that could get rid of a whole lot of kids on the street. But how do you think parents would act if there was a possibility that they would have to end up in prison when their kids go and shoot the chinito or stab somebody or steal somewhere? How would parents perform differently? Because see, for instance, during the months of quarantine, a lot of the people that they were picking up on the street, sometimes at midnight, were kids 15 and 16. How on earth are you a parent and your kid's 15 or 16 is on the street at midnight during quarantine? So tell me, do you think it would help parents to be a lot more serious and take parenting seriously if they were threatened to be put into prison? What do you think? Because I'm going to be president and I'm going to propose that.
Wait, I might take it like they will act like their lifestyles is their own. So they have to control part of them lives to be, safe. Like they always tell them, like, if you go out, I will go to jail. Always blaming the kid. Like, you cannot go out because I will, like that.
Side of it. But what about the rest of you? People who have not opened their mouth. Layali, Natalie, Eduardo, Dayan. Who else? Yeah. Yo, talk. Nayali, Natalie, Eduardo, Dayan, open up your mouth and speak. It's a speaking class. Do you think it's a good idea for the parents to be put in prison when the kids mess up? Would your parents be in prison? Okay, go ahead, answer me. Who's first? Ting Marin de dos Pingway, Kukarama fue. Who's next? Come on, people, stop staring at your screen. Okay, Natalie, let's go. I had to start with somebody.
Okay, repeat me the question so I can think.
Do you think it's a good idea for the parents to be punished when their kids misbehave?
Okay, I think it will vary because what happened?
You're stuck.
Hello?
Hello. This is so convenient. Okay, like we're gonna wait for later, Natalie. Later, Layali.
I think that it's a good idea, but at the same time, no, but maybe the parents will change how they criar,
Bring up.
their kids, so they don't do that type of crimes.
Okay. Rebecca, your hand is up. You wanted to say something?
Yes. Okay. I think that it have like un pro y un contra. The fact that
pros and cons.
This. I think it have this because you know if you treat like hard to your kids and the kids like start to hating you because this is like most of the kids think that they are feeling they are hating my parents and stuff. They could like just go to a store and tell something and the parents will go to the jail just because they think they hate them. So this is like a contra?
Con.
This. And yeah, I think like this is like the worst part of this because if the kids have like this have not the way like think good, they will just do this and that's it. The parents will go to the jail and the kids will go to I don't know, therapy.
Okay. Yeah, good point. Eduardo, Dayan.
Oh, okay. It is a good idea. I mean, when it's not respect at all. I mean, midnight and 15-year-old kids in the street, it's disrespect. There's no respect at home, so it's okay to be scared at your parents if you don't behave. That would be a good one. Like instead of respect, because there's not respect at all, now you have to be scared of me. So come home early.
Diane, what's your opinion?
I think it's unfair because they do not have to pay for something they haven't done. I mean, some of teenagers, well, we are so unrespectful with our parents, and I don't think that they have to pay that because sometimes we act with our parents in some way and with other persons other way. So
True. Okay, so people, this is just stuff so you think about. Think about whether prison really works. Think about who benefits when people misbehave and they get fined, multado. Who makes money off of crime because crime is a business. And what needs to happen so that changes can really occur, because this is the world that you're inheriting and it's messed up. What needs to happen so that prison is not just, okay, let me keep you here and treat you like a dog for 10 years and then kick you back out on the street so you can continue to be the horrible person that you were. Those are things that you're gonna have to be thinking about. Okay, so this was fun, see you next time. Bye-bye.